Hi everybody, Cat Monster. If you're new here, thank you for stopping in. So today we are doing some miniature watercolor paintings for my Patreon members. The top tiers get a little miniature painting every month. And I am behind because of personal mishaps that I mentioned in the last videos. You know, breakups and things, and my dog passing away, and you know, all of that. Oops. Don't knock the things off the shelf. I'm always very arms everywhere. Okay, so we're going to be painting those. I had started these when I was on TikTok, and I miss TikTok so much, guys. I really hate the political shit that's going on with that, with the American servers. But here we are. I am also streaming on Twitch now. I plan to do like every Monday for a couple of hours. Maybe do a makeup look, we'll do some art, we'll do some video games, you know, whatever. So now I started these, so I wanted to finish them, and I'm going to use them as the Patreon rewards. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy this. We're just going to be embellishing, so it is going to be a more of the paint process sort of situation. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. I hope you like it. Okay, bye. Well, not bye. You know, I'll see you in a minute. Don't leave. Don't you want to stay? You want to stay? Okay. Okay, thanks. All right. We got a good assortment here. Various things that we're going to be doing, and some blank ones, little blank ones. Yeah. So let's get to decorating. For anybody out there that makes content, you ever get to the point where you're just like, I don't know how to start a video? Yeah, that's what's happening right now. So, I'm using Copic's microliners. They come in a 4-pack. 0.1, 0.5, 0.05, and 0.03. I switched to the 0.3 right here to do the smaller lines. And I think I am just using that throughout the rest of these. You can really see in the speed up how I draw little sketchy lines and not long fluid lines, but honestly with the microliners and their little felt tip nubbin, it's hard to really get smooth, long strokes. That's what she said. But yeah, this one I just really liked. It looks like a pretty sunset. I did that in the wet on wet, where you lay down some water and then add little variant colors through it so that it can all blendy blend. And I thought it kind of looked like a ocean sunset picture. What do you think? Do you see a sunset? I see a sunset. I think it's like an abstract-y sort of thing. And I really enjoy painting abstracts. That is a pleasure of mine. I don't have any that I've done on this channel, but I do have a ton of large abstracts that I frequently did community exhibits for the Art Association of Harrisburg, as well as some of their like soirees and shows and the gallery shows for that sort of thing. But I don't tend to do them on here just because I don't have a place to do them anymore. They are messy and they take up a lot of space to do. And in my apartment, that's just not possible. In my previous one, it was. I had lots of room there. I apologize, in this first bit, I had the palettes off camera, so you can't really see what I'm doing and like how I'm mixing the paint, but a lot of them are just slightly thicker washes to do the wet on wet sort of technique. I know this flower went skittering off the side, but that's fine. It's fine. We're making it work. It's all supposed to be abstracty anyways, right? Right. We are in agreement. I really like this one. I think it's cute. I just did think it needed a little more embellishing, and I like how it turned out at the end. Everything really blends together, but I'll let you watch the blending in peace. Finally, she pulls the palette into view. Listen, we're gonna talk about this for a second. I enjoy painting eggplants. I don't know. They're fun. The curvature and the shines, like people painting apples or cherries, but just the double entendre of it also makes me giggle because I'm 12. What do you want? If you can't giggle at the fact that whenever there's an eggplant in social media, then you're taking life a little too seriously. We only have so long in these meat suits. Yeah, I struggled to do something with her. I wasn't quite happy with the construction of her face. It's a little too angular, but I also kind of think it lent towards a mermaid look. So we are just taking that fine liner and kind of defining the shapes, adding some gills, making it a little more mermaidish. I like the chanterelles as is. We're not going to do anything to them besides take this very crappy white pen and make some marks. This white pen sucks. It's not very opaque, and it kind of muddles the color underneath it. So you get like muted tones more than like whites. You have to go over it with like several layers to get more on the white side. I won't even call it white. Maybe I should just... I have a bunch of these pens. I'm trying to use them up, before I switch to either a better white pen or just use a whiteout marker or something. Here, I had no idea where to put this. All of my pans are full. I need another one of these palettes. I'm gonna be so for real. I gotta figure out like where I can get a cheap one. Because right now they're stupid expensive, and that's just absolute nonsense if you ask me. But this lemon yellow, it's by Daniel Smith, and so's the opera pink. Opera pink is kind of hard to find, but it is fantastic. It is great at like taking dioxidon sort of purples and making them more into violets, making these wonderful peach colors. It's just, it goes so well with other colors. And it's one of those things that like I can't buy a lesser version of it because it's just not the same color. But here we get a slowed down version. I know I've done sunsets and skies and nighttime skies in other tutorials before, but here's a bit more of a slowed down version. Yeah, everything's fairly watered down, but it's not watery. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But then I pull like less and less pigment downwards, so it fades everything out towards the bottom, and then you can just continue to kind of like wet the brush a little bit and get the remaining pigment that's on the brush to blend everything down and give some color for the background, but not be like super opaque. This apple though. What to do with the apple? we're gonna make a little orchard, and it's a lot of wet on wet. Wet on wet technique for it. I'll talk a little bit about it later. You should just watch it a little bit. That right there, what I just did, where I take a lot of pigment onto my brush and then dip it into the water. I don't think that's a traditional technique, but it's one way that I control the water flow from the brush and the amount of pigment. It works for me. Maybe you can try it out. I don't know. You let me know. Yeah, they were not as watery as I liked and didn't turn out, so we just had to kind of swipe that away and blend it. Luckily with watercolors, any mistake like that, honestly, is just extra texture. Because you can just always let it dry and go over it, or like I did and just make it kind of backgroundy. I kind of had the vision of doing like an orchard in the background. The far background, just like reds and greens, since it is an apple. So down here, I went past the water line and decided to just take drops of water, put it on there, allow the pigment to activate a little more, and then take a thirsty brush. Whenever you see my brush go down towards my lap, it's because there's a towel there that I wipe my brush on. So I'm just wiping it off, getting it dry, and then it'll soak up that water. It's cute, huh? For the apple itself, it's just adding in some more shading and variance between the colors that I already have mixed up that are in the painting itself. Just making it a little more fluid. I try to stick within the same palettes usually. You know, within paintings, you want it to look cohesive and kind of tie everything together. It's like when you're painting miniatures and or anything, you're doing stones and you paint them all those different varied colors, and then you do a wash over the whole thing so that it just kind of blends together and is cohesive. Same concept. Or what exactly I was doing when I originally painted that, I have no idea. No clue. I do like the eye though. I really like the eye just kind of has it as is. This little monstrosity. I don't know why I painted that in the first place. I don't know if I was just using a color that was on my brush. Yeah, at first I thought maybe I'd make them into planets, but then I don't, just, you can watch this. Honestly, how it dried though, and you'll see that at the end, I think it's alright. I do think I might add some white acrylic paint splatter to it to make it into a galaxy and be good with it. Just make my piece. Alright, so keeping the eye, we're just adding a little white here. And then we are finished with these. So let's go ahead and take a little look-see at the final results. Hi. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end. Thank you so much to my Patreon members. As always, I've got a couple of new members and thank you. But if you're interested, you can join us on Patreon and follow my other social medias. I'm working on a Discord so we can start hanging out in there. I know I hang out in everybody else's Discord. So if you're active on Discord, that's a thing. So thank you so much for being here. I love you all so much, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye. Also, real quick, did you notice my shirt? It's all mushroomy. Isn't it so cute? Okay, hold on. Well, let's bring you down here because I'm tiny. Look at this shirt. Isn't it cute? And I have mushroom pants. Can we get a good view of them without having to be a butt shot? Oh, nope. Wow. Mushies. Isn't it great? I might have to crop that a little bit. This isn't an OF. So, okay.